and we're not concerned if there's a little rust on it. This paint will adhere to rust. In fact, the rust blast will actually cause a thin layer of rust. Hello and welcome to Chemist Classics. Today we're going to be painting our engine for our 66 Oldsmobile 442 using a product called Rust Blast Motor Coating and KBS Clean from KBS Coatings. Great company, used them in the past. It's a three-step process. The first step is using their clean. We have our engine here. The engine has been preliminary cleaned by the machine shop. So a lot of the grease and residues have been removed. If not, including the old paint. If not, you'll need to take care of that by using some sandpaper as listed in their instructions. But we're going to go ahead and get started. We have the mixture pre-mixed. It is approximately 10 to 1. What we'll be using, some bristle brushes from Dollar Tree, Home Depot, basically anywhere. This is a process that you're not going to want to save the tools, so get cheap ones. We'll also be using some rags that we have. The color that we'll be using is Oldsmobile Gold, and like I said, it's a three-step process. The first step's cleaning it. We'll clean it, then you rinse it with water, then you have to let it dry before applying Rust Blast. When we apply the Rust Blast, it will create a coating that the paint will adhere to. One thing to note on this KBS coatings, and part of the reason we really like them, is you can brush it, you can spray it. We will be spraying ours, but you can brush it, and the brush lines, they smooth right out. You don't see them. It's also a very good coating. It's not a spray paint that kind of just, most of the spray paints just burn off over time. It's rated at a very high temperature and will be on there for years to come. So we'll just get to it. So basically all we're doing is removing any contaminants that are on the paint. You'll see that we have new aluminum heads on here. Of course, that aluminum's not going to be very dirty, but we're just going to take and clean this up. We've taken the time to cover any holes, exhaust ports, carburetor intake, and we're not concerned if there's a little rust on it. This paint will adhere to rust. In fact, the Rust Blast will actually cause a thin layer of rust. So what we're mainly concerned with is any contaminants such as oil, greases, anything from assembling the engine that could cause our paint to not adhere. We'll just go ahead and take care of this. 7 days to fully cure. But once it fully cures, it's rock hard. Notice here I'm getting into a little bit of rust, so we're going to clean that pretty good. You'll notice we have some old valve covers on it that was originally on the engine. We have new ones, so we're going to use those to help keep the paint out. Use it as a barrier. I've tried, this is one of several engines I've done, and I found that was the best way to keep it good, was by having that. I tried to tape off the first one I did, and the tape just didn't adhere, didn't work well. So we're going with using the old valve covers. They're rusted and used and not going to be used again, so having the paint on them is not going to be an issue. This is a new oil pan, but we're still going to clean it. And one thing you're going to notice, it's the cadmium finish. But as I am cleaning it, the cadmium's coming off as it's, and it will, we're losing that kind of bluish purple off of it, and that's what we're expecting. ahead and pull this out. We got some other parts we're working on. Pull this so I can rinse it off. One thing about this cleaner is water will stop it from reacting. If you can, give me a hand and we'll flip it and rinse the top off. Said this is a heavy engine. It's probably one of the heaviest ones I've dealt with. Stop it right there. Just want to rinse off the intake better. Okay. On the engine, to move to the next step, you have to let this air dry. Once it's air dry, then we can go ahead and we can take care of it. We got some other parts here we're going to take care of. It also will need to be painted. We've got oil fill tube, the pitman arm, the cap, and the harmonic balancer. We've already kind of cleaned these up to get them ready for paint, so basically just clean off any oils, mainly from our hands. From the time you start this till you're done, you're just going to want to be wearing rubber gloves, keep any contaminants off. Clean it, and then we'll clean everything, clean the chemical off. With new parts like this harmonic balancer, the main idea is get anything off of it. You know, a lot of companies will put a coating or a thin coat of oil or something to keep the parts from rusting in the box. So the goal is just to get that off. For the most part, these parts are going to be gold. The pitman arm and the oil cap are going to be black. So the reason we're using the rust blast and stuff on those, even though we're painting with different paint, is we're going to be using a product called Rust Seal, also from KBS Coatings, in black. We paint the frames with them. So mainly now it's just let everything air dry and we'll prepare for the next step. Welcome back. We're ready for step 2, which is the rust blast. When you're putting this on, again, rubber gloves. We went through, made sure all of our tape was still good, so we're not getting anything in the engine. Previously I did have an issue with the tape coming off. The frog tapes were working excellent. The way this rust blast works is it takes a long time, 30 minutes, and you keep it wet for 30 minutes and then you rinse it off. We're going to start at the top of the engine. We'll just do it, and then once we get that done, we'll flip it over and we'll do the bottom. What you'll see is as this stuff goes on after we rinse it, it's going to discolor the engine, which preps it for the paint. So like I said, this is just keep it moist for 30 minutes. And we're just going to do the top of the engine. It has kind of an ammonia smell. What it does is it creates a coating. I believe it's a zinc coating that the paint is specifically made to adhere to. It'll create a surface layer of rust. The paint actually sticks to rust as long as it, so it'll just be a surface rust. And like I said, you just keep spraying, you watch. 30 minutes is how long you've got to keep it wet for, and then rinsed off, and it'll be at that point ready for paint. You have to let it air dry, so we also got our parts over here we're gonna prep. Yeah, you just got to kind of watch it, and if it's drying out, spray it some more. It's kind of just a tedious process. We'll go ahead and get it done, and then we'll wait, rinsed off, we'll wait till tomorrow to actually do the paint, so it can fully dry, fully cure, and be ready to go.